Gun Talk Radio. Thank you guys for being here. I was just telling a friend of mine, I have so much fun here because sometimes you feel like you're just doing this and you're wondering, is anybody else doing the same thing I'm doing? And then you come in and go, oh, I'm not alone. This is cool. Kind of recharge your batteries, get out there and do it again. So I just wanted to thank you. We're going to be doing we got the awards luncheon. We've got some speakers for you, and no telling what's going to happen out here. So just settle in, have some fun. First order of business is let me introduce the table, and we'll come back. We have some of the folks here who are going to be speaking. Just on the end, we have, of course, as you might recognize, 20-year professional pitcher, Curt Schilling. Thank you, sir. Next to him, the lead plaintiff on 2 landmark Second Amendment Foundation cases, Ezell versus Chicago, Ron Ezell. And I'm starting to feel just a little bit outnumbered here with the whole men-women mix here, I'm just saying. Robin Sandoval from editor of, do I have this right? Executive Director of A Girl and a Gun. And did I get, you're also editor of Women and Guns? All right, editor of Women and Guns as well, thank you. Whoever this guy is. Alan Gottlieb, Second Amendment Foundation. Amanda Sefcols, he's the host and producer of Eye on the Target Radio. Shell Todd, she is the co-host of Gun Freedom Radio. And a gentleman you're going to be hearing from just a little bit later, representing President Trump, Mac Gresham. Mac, thank you for being here. It's kind of weird coming in middle of the day like this because I had this speech all written. I feel like Mark Walters. I have torn it up and rewritten it 2 or 3 times because I keep going, well, that was a really good thing. I was going to say that, but they said that. That was really, I was going to say that too. So there were 2 or 3 things said recently the last hour, and I thought, I'll try to pull a couple things together, just ideas. It's kind of what I try to do on the radio is take ideas from here and there and put it together so that it makes some sense. Sometimes you get in the middle of the whirlwind and it's hard to see what's going on. And if anything, that's kind of what I try to do. We talked about, Chris Chang said, San Francisco board lists the NRA as a domestic terrorist organization. It's kind of funny on one hand, it's kind of irritating on the other hand, but I'm here to suggest that it's something more than that. It's somewhat terrifying, is what it actually is. It should be a lot concerning. Here's why. Historically, if you want to do something terrible to an identifiable group of people, you have to make them the other. Think about throughout history, whether it's based on color, religion, affiliation, before you can round them up, before you can do terrible things to them, you have to make them seem somewhat less than. Not quite us. Those people aren't like us. They actually aren't us. They may not even be, going back to historical references, they may not even be quite human. Well, what is the identifiable label you can put on somebody today that allows you to be put on a list? Terrorist. You could be charged with making a terroristic threat for threatening to punch somebody in the nose. Huh. Interesting. No-fly list. Don't know how you get on, don't know how you get off. But if you could be listed as a terrorist because you belong to a particular group, we can put you on the list. The watch list, the terrorist watch list. My point in all this is to say that while it's easy to be dismissive of this, I would suggest that maybe there's something else going on here, something larger going on. Whether it's orchestrated or not, I never know. I think sometimes somebody on the other side comes up with an idea and they just run with it. But the idea of essentially marginalizing, minimizing us. You know, and it's that old big lie deal. If you say it long enough and loud enough, some people will start believing it. So take that idea, okay? That whole idea of making people appear to be the other and what we could do to them. People say, well, that would never happen here. Really? I would offer that an awful lot of American citizens of Japanese descent in World War II would tend to disagree with you as they got marched off to the camps in the United States of America. So take that, and I'm remembering a few years ago, I got a call. Actually, the folks from the National Shooting Sports Foundation called me and said, hey, the guys at MSNBC want to interview somebody about guns. I go, really, why me? You're going to throw me to the wolves? They said, yeah, well, we figured you could do it. So, okay. So I take the call. We want to talk about the 10 most popular guns in America, MSNBC says. I said, okay, well, I can do that. We're going to start off with the Remington 870. They said, oh, no, just handguns. Oh, I said, why just handguns? The exact phrase, because handguns are edgier. Okay, I see where we're going now. Cool. We're going to do it. This is going to be a hit job. But I got them because there's a whole lot of them. There's one of me, and that means I can attack in all directions. It's cool. So I say, yeah, come on down to Louisiana. This is going to be fun. We're going to talk. They bring down the crew, MSNBC, the whole NBC guy. First thing I do, I said, look, I got a couple of buddies. We ought to go out and shoot with them. Okay. Let's see. It was Jim Clark Jr. and Jerry Michalik. So I take them to the range and I said, well, all right, put the cameras down. So what do you mean? Put the cameras down. An hour later, the producer, the director, the sound guy, and the camera guys are knocking down steel plates with guns and having a ball. Well, you know what changed when I did that? They were no longer doing a story about those people because they had become those people. So we're having this conversation with the producer, Keith, and he says, you know what? I don't think I know anybody who owns a gun. And I said, well, you know, I don't think I know anybody who doesn't own a gun. And I said, but here's the deal, Keith. You actually know a lot of people who own guns. He says, no. He says, I live in Manhattan. I said, yes. Half the people you know own guns. He said, that's insane. Are you kidding me? So I'm just telling you, the difference is where I live, we feel free to talk about it. Where you are, your doctor won't tell you that he or she owns guns. You know, your lawyer won't talk about that. They don't feel free to do that. Baloney. I forget about it. 2 weeks later, I get a call from Keith Greenberg, MSNBC. He says, Tom, I did your test. I said, I didn't know what he's talking about. What are you talking about? He said, half the people I know own guns. Yeah, I know. You just don't know. And that's why it's easy for them to think of us as the other. Think about that. Because they think, I don't know anybody who owns guns. So what can we do with that information? I guess this is the action item for you. I would just offer this. And there was a lot of great information about, contact the media, we created the Truth Squad with Gun Talk Radio. We got 350,000 volunteers, and our motto is, a lie left unchallenged becomes the truth. So we adopted a no-shrug policy. Whenever we see a story that's incorrect or slanted, you don't just shrug and go, oh, that's just the way it is. No, you challenge it every time. Politely, strongly, but you challenge it. Two things I would offer or ask you to consider. One is to make yourself better at what we're doing, and you're here, so you're doing that. By better, I mean understanding that when you're talking with someone who is maybe anti-gun, first of all, it's not necessarily a bad person. Maybe somebody just has bad information. Okay? Also understand that, I don't know why, but some folks on our side feel like the way you win is to make them admit that they're wrong. Not going to happen. You don't beat someone into submission. You lead them to a conclusion. You can invite them to the range. You can say, hey, let's go out and do some shooting. Interesting. NSSF did a study. They said, a survey. Half the women said that if they were invited to go shooting, they would. Why are we not inviting them all to go shooting? Because let me just tell you, I call it vaccination. Because if you have gone out shooting and you have had a good time, no one at that point can tell you that guns and gun people are bad, because your personal experience completely blows that away. So every one of us has an opportunity to vaccinate people against that. The other thing is, remember this. There's an opportunity here when if you're talking to like a hardcore, I'm going to take your guns away, yada, 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 there are usually, whether it's online or wherever else, there are usually other people around. Imagine that I'm sitting here talking with an anti-gunner and we're having this conversation. I'm not trying to convince him or her. I'm doing it so you guys can hear it. Figure out who your audience is. You're not trying to beat them into submission. You're trying to use them as an opportunity to present your good information. Who are you talking to? Not that person. You're talking to whoever else is listening. I don't care if it's in a bar or at the PTA or wherever else. One other thing, and I loved it came up in the last panel. Take every opportunity to bring up the fact that you are a gun owner and a shooter. When somebody sits next to you on the airline, do not let them out of the seat without bringing it up. Captive audience. I'm telling you, you got them for an hour, 3 hours. Where are they going to go? You got one-on-one. And because of that, you can take your time. I did have one lady sit next to me. She had the beret, she had the shawl, the whole deal. She was a university professor. She sits down. I've got my Guns and Ammo magazine out there. She says, I never thought I'd sit next to a gun nut. Swear, that's what she said. It was one of those times, usually I'll engage, and I just wasn't in the mood. I just said, I never thought I was going to be sitting next to a bigot. There it is. So I guess that would be my call to action for all of you. Every encounter at the grocery store, checkout line, wherever it is, hey, I was going out shooting. I did some shooting. Just bought a new gun, yada, yada, yada. You will be amazed how many positive reactions you will get. But we can't hide. We're in the right. So bring it up, be out there. We're on the front lines of this thing. So I just want to thank all of you for doing that. You're here, you're doing that part of it, you're getting the intellectual ammunition here, so take it out there and use it. Thank you.